Hi everyone, I'm Anisha. Welcome to my channel on astrology and tarot. For those of you who are seeking deeper clarity, be it in your love life or your career, for a personal consultation, you may write to me at tarotbyanisha@gmail.com. Capricornians, welcome to your annual 2022-23 horoscope forecast. We have another intense year ahead. For those of you who follow astrology, you must have been reading a lot about the Pluto return that is there. The major theme this year for Pluto return is global and power restructuring. Simply put, Pluto return speaks about the time where it moves back to the place where it was born. In this case, it's moving back into the United States after 248 years since its inception. And that's a time in the nation's history where Pluto in the cosmos occupied that space about 27 degrees to Capricorn. However, since Pluto takes about 248 years to complete one revolution around the zodiac, its return is a process that some believe to last for a decade or maybe even more. Personally, I think that we've been feeling the rumbles of Pluto return since 2008. That's the time that Pluto entered Capricorn. But in the chart of the United States, where it is cast for the signing of Declaration of Independence in 1776, the planet Pluto sits in what we call as the house of ownership, of money, of possessions, of innate gifts, of self-worth, importantly. And I think that is what also the theme is going to be doubling up, because it is sitting in the sign of Capricorn, and Capricorn is a sign of sea goats, the mythological creature that can climb any mountain, it can go across any sea in its quest to succeed. Now, often when we have planets in the second house and in the sign of Capricorn, and especially when one of those planets happens to be Pluto, we are dealing with a shadow self that believes that it must work to prove its worth, and believing that it is not enough already, it finds itself in circumstance after circumstance that demands that it pay a price for something that it already owns, unless, of course, something comes and breaks the cycle and raises the collective consciousness. So let's talk about Pluto, and I would like to give a little bit of a context so we understand as to why there is so much of trepidation around this Pluto return, and why is it as individuals we need to be paying heed as to what would be the effects of the Pluto return. Now, in most of the mythological stories that are associated with the planet Pluto, it is linked to the Greek god Hades, who is the lord of underworld, and he ruled the underworld with a rather tight and an unyielding control. And he ruled the realm of those that were passing from this world into the another. And his name and myth are associated with power, with resurrection, with transformation, the shadow, the riches of the unseen, life, death, and the cycle of rebirth. Now, the most poignant Plutonian myth is that of Persephone and Hades. In some accounts, Hades abducted Persephone, and so that she could be his wife and help him rule the underworld. But a lot of these accounts also describe her abduction and initiation into the underworld to be quite intense process, whereby that she was stripped of the life that she knew before that she came there, in order to undergo a rebirth that enabled her to rise up and become one of the most powerful Greek mythological deities. Similarly, in astrology, the symbolism of Pluto in the birth chart is associated with similar process of transformation, and Pluto transits often accompany periods in our life that seem to take us down in order for us to rise back up, and that seem to demand that we surrender every ounce of power so that we might remember what it means to own and wield our power responsibly. Very heavy and very deep stuff, but the Plutonian effect is not going to be going away soon. So we need to be looking carefully. And I am going to be broadly talking about which aspect, because for you Capricorns, it's there in your own sign. That's where the Pluto transit is happening. So it's really, really intense. And The rumblings of the Pluto return, I think, started from 2008, and I think for some of you, you may have started feeling the effect, because that's the time that Pluto entered Capricorn. And for you, because it is the house of self, it will be important and worthwhile your time to see whether you have another hard aspected planet, say a Saturn or a Uranus, that is transiting in the same place in the house of self as well. Now, Pluto, when it transits a house of self, Pluto's mission is to search and destroy everything that no longer supports our growth or allows us to be in control of our own narrative. And it can be quite brutal. You could be somebody who's there in the 60s or 70s, and all of a sudden you have this Pluto return transit that's happening, and you feel, all the experiences that you've had, all the value systems that you've had, all the prejudices that you have had, they no longer hold true, because there is another perspective. You need to be transforming, you need to be more flexible, you need to be more inclusive, you need to be more embracive of the world around you. So it can be quite brutal when that happens to you, depending as to how old you are, when the Pluto return is happening for you. And because it doesn't allow us to control our narrative, and this is the house of self, so it can bring about a lot of power and control issues with the virtuality of any area of your life. And you can be more relentless, and you can be more intense, and anger could be a bit of an issue also during this time. So you could come across as quite intense and quite serious and brooding and dark, and you could also be focusing more on the negative aspects of your life, as to how nobody loves you, how everybody is out to get you, and how everybody is a suspect, and how certain rules and laws need to be keeping all the bad people away. So there could be a lot of prejudices, and of course I'm not talking about hardened criminals and where that justice shouldn't prevail. I'm speaking about a general outlook towards life, as to when you start having a naturally distrustful um, outlook towards life, where you just feel, oh, this one is here to rob me, or that one is going to be taking away, or has an ulterior motive always. How you can transit, how you can survive this specific transit, is that it's a wonderful opportunity to get more control over your life and get more of your own power, Capricornians. You just need to get through to the start of it, where you are feeling a little angry, or where you can find that rage sort of starting off, or when you find yourself get in control, and recognize that as a starting point, and then control yourself. It's a great time to be transforming yourself for the better, and in a profound way. And the wonderful gift for the Plutonian transit is that this is something which will, because it takes about 248 years to complete its revolution around the zodiac. So this is something that will, by the time that it leaves your own house, you're like set for life if you have transformed, if you have worked on yourself. So focus on what it is that you need to change, or about yourself or your life or the work, on making changes that will last. They don't have to be superficial changes where you say, okay, I'm going to stop being angry, okay, I'm going to be ignoring this person. No, you need to be digging more deeper into your foundation, and you need to be finding out as to what is it that is setting off your triggers. Why is it that is so hard for you to have another perspective? Why is it, or where is it, that the distrust is coming from? Why is it that you need to be in control at all the times? And for some of you, you may need to work harder at being more authentic or even optimistic during this time. But if you're doing things right, and if you're really working on changing, then things can be quite easier for you. Again, I would urge you to have a look and see whether other planets are transiting for you as well in this part of your chart. Venus goes retrograde as well, and it carries on doing so till about the end of January 22. And Venus is retrograde in the same house of self. So you could be moving in a period where you may spend time thinking about what you want to get out of life, and the way it is that you present yourself. And as you see indicators that you're not maximizing your personal image, you will have an opportunity, Capricornians, to trim, to reshape, or even redesign the way that you appear, both physically and personality wise. And it's a time where a lot of you will be keen, which is a wonderful thing which Venus retrograde is doing, is to present yourself as a new you, as a more refined or as a more efficient person of what you were before. Under any circumstance, give yourself a second look so that you can decide if you appear to be living up to your maximum potential. Appearances can be quite important for you during this time, and keeping them up can be a personal statement of your inner life. However, trying not to go in for any kind of a cosmetic surgery during a Venus retrograde. It's always a no. And also, don't make something really drastic changes which you may regret later. Good time to be having a look at your finances, re-looking as to your investments, or maybe seeing as to how it is more that you can invest. April 30th, we have a solar eclipse that is there in your house of love, romance, creativity, and it is joining Uranus that has been there since the last couple of years, and it carries on being so for the next couple of years as well. So pretty much the theme for you in 2022 is of the eclipses. They're going to be affecting your house of love, romance, creativity, and they're going to be affecting your house of friendships and people with whom you connect on a soul level, so to speak. Now, this house, which is where the solar eclipse is happening, it can be that you could be quite keen to party. There could be that you get associated with a different group which is, you know, very creative or very eclectic, and you could also be feeling quite less reclusive during this time. You know, you feeling lonesome is not going to be an option for you during this time, Capricornians. And during this eclipse, it's a time wherein that you could be drawn to creative ventures, and it's also a house which rules romance. So it can be that if you're committed, that some of you will tie the knot, and it's if you are interested in someone, then this is a good time to be asking those people. And children also rule this house, so it can be that you could be inclined to spend more time with them during this time, and you could also get in touch with your inner child. Always a good idea. On May 11th, we have Jupiter that moves into your house of home. That's a house of your foundation, and this is there till about October 9th. And it, of course, goes back briefly in Pisces from October 29th till about December 21st. But Jupiter moving into your house of home. May 16th, we have a lunar eclipse that is there in your house of friendships, and the effect lasts for about 6 months. Now this house rules your friends, so a lunar eclipse over here could bring an end to something. Maybe it's an argument or a spat that you've had for a friend, or it could also mean cutting ties in certain cases. You could also elevate the relations you have with good friends, spending time with each other and enjoying each other's company. Good time to be going out, maybe taking a holiday with your friends, and material things may seem less important to you during this time, Capricornians, and there's going to be a lot of focus on just having friendly relationships. If you let go a little, you may find that things happening with little effort around you, and let the surrounding energy take care of things for you, even if it is for just few hours. You could walk away from a group that you belong, or join a new one that you feel better represents what you want to accomplish and has members that are of the same mind in regards to how to better the world and society. Position in the world and how you fit in it now could be something that you could be reflecting upon. Someone may require your help, or you may be surrounded by many more people than you have been in a very long time, and you could also be be spending a lot of time. You could be investing a lot of time either traveling with them or being with them. Between September and November, we have a square between Saturn and Uranus, and this square started in 2021 and it carries on till about the end of 2022. So for you Capricornians, it's going to be aspecting your house of love, romance, creativity and children, and it is also going to be affecting your house of income. So both these factions need to come to some kind of a negotiation. That is pretty much the theme of a Saturn and Uranus square. Now both the sides are suspicious and distrustful of other, so getting to work with a part of you that says just get in it and be done with it, and the other Saturnian side which says that okay, be careful and be how it is that it needs to get done, which is your second nature, Capricornians, because you are also ruled by Saturn. And thinking and deeply planning something is not new to you. You are, it's like a second nature. But the Uranian aspect of taking risks, letting go of power, surrendering, and being generally more flexible is going to be also the key with you. Also, being in a similar situation that you are, whether it is in difficult relationships or at maybe in a stagnant workplace, it is no longer a choice for you, because the wheel of change has already started for all of us. And with Pluto, which is parallel and then conjunct Saturn from 2015 to 2050, it is a time to be reaching into the well of a human nature and really dredging up all the stuff that needs to transform, to change. And it is not just necessary, but it is inevitable. So try and draw a balance between wanting to just get in and destroy everything, or just be done with it and burn all the bridges, or on the other side being so distrustful and being so cautious that you just sort of get stuck in a limbo. We'll close the year. We have a Mars retrograde as well, that is there for 2 months, and it is there towards the end of October, and this is there in your house of work. It's a house of your day-to-day chores and your health. So you could find yourself that you're not feeling that bright, or you're not feeling that physically active, or you're not feeling that confident as you have in the past. But it doesn't mean that you can't be productive, Capricornians. Good time to be reviewing your productivity. Good time for research, and let quality take precedence over quantity. So don't allow yourself to get frustrated and destroy your structures. State of order, it'll help you move ahead. So let the pace be slow, let the pace be deliberate. Don't feel that, oh, I can no longer just get up and just rush off and go. It's a time just to be deliberate. Focus on smaller things that make you happy. They don't have to be too many things of it. We close the year, that is around 29th of October, and this aspect is there till about December 21st, 2022. That's when Jupiter is moving back into your house of home briefly, and before it goes direct again. So again, it would be a time that you will be looking at your foundations. Something maybe needs to get changed at home. Some of you could be selling homes, some of you could be moving countries, cities. Some of you could be looking at your own foundational makeup as to the belief sets that you have grown up with, things that you believe and you hold to be true, and whether they need to be transformed or not. The key, I would say, Capricornians, and for you, I think for all the signs, because it is Pluto transit is happening in your own sign. I would focus on self-worth, that try to build up your self-worth, have that self-worthiness, and whether that comes from the defensive armor that you've got used to wearing all these years, or your sense of that you feel unloved, or you're not accepted, or again, these could just be perceptions that you are living with. They may not hold much ground. So you really need to be digging through these, and you need to be finding out and transforming and changing. And Pluto loves transformation. Do try and remember the story of Persephone, wherein that you had to literally strip yourself of everything so that a rebirth can take place and you can come to your own power. So do not fear letting go of control, or thinking that, oh, if I listen to this person, or if I change my mind about how I felt about a certain thing all those years, I'll be flaky, or I'll be it just sort of shakes me to the core. Maybe it just unchains you. Maybe it just sets you free. You do not know. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Capricornians. I'll see you again soon, and thank you so much.